welcome to today's vlog.
Hi.
Oh, you do say hello then?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What have you got?
Well, first of all, let's introduce ourselves.
I think everybody knows who we are.
Jan and Tony.
Yes. So,
First things first.
yeah.
I'm not going to be part of this vlog that much because it's not my scene. But one thing I've got to do is I've got to thank my wonderful niece Carla, because she knows, and I'm sorry to people out there, I don't like sloths or sloths, whatever you call them. But she has made this wonderful thing for me. It's the first time that she's embroidered, and I've got to show you because it's to do with making new memories. And she has made, look at that. Isn't it beautiful? Making new memories. And I even think that this sloth is beautiful. So thank you, Carla, from the bottom of our hearts. Absolutely beautiful. And we shall find somewhere to hang it.
And whilst we're also thanking people, I don't know if you know this, but we sold our car a few weeks ago because obviously we don't need it when we go cruising. Yeah. But a couple who we've met here from January when we first moved in said, well, we're going cruising for a week. Lucky so-and-sos they are, aren't they, eh?
Yeah, and I was cooking that night and I had the side hatch open. And
Dave came and said, here's our car keys. If you want to use the car to go somewhere, please do so. Now, we think that's a wonderful thing. I don't know if you get it anywhere else, but you certainly get it here in the marine, and you certainly get it with other boaters. So Dave and Lynn, thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. That was very, very sweet of you.
It meant we could get out for a couple of hours.
And you didn't crash it, did you?
No, I didn't, no. We went out and got some chippy chips. Yes. I've got my figure to look after, you know. But yes, as Jan says, this vlog is all about the engine service. So if you want to know how to do, and this is a very basic service because we're talking about somebody very basic, i.e. me. But I'm being instructed by somebody who is very experienced in all things mechanical. If you want to know about servicing engines or anything like that, then obviously this is the vlog for you. If you don't, we don't mind. You can spin right to the end.
I went. Straight across my head, I went.
But yes, if you've got a narrowboat and you want to look at somebody else's engine and how it works and how to service it, then here's me and Charlie. So here we are in the engine room. First job to do before Charlie comes and shows me the ropes is to start the engine. Run the engine for about 20 minutes or so. That thins the oil and makes it easier to get out of the tank. Hello Charlie, good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tony. Nice to see you.
Now you're not just some random narrowboat owner, are you? You've got a bit of background?
I've got a lot of background on water.
Right.
I joined the Royal Navy when I was 17, did an engineering apprenticeship, and 18 years later I left, being taught numerous skills. I'm a jack of all trades and a master of many. I like to think anyway.
So what did you end up being in the Royal Navy then? What was your
I ended up being a charge chief,
right.
Basically third in command of the whole marine engineering department of a warship.
These little tiddly engines are
they?
Nothing to you, are they?
Yeah, matchbox.
Right, okay. And what are we going to be doing today? What are you going to be teaching me, showing me?
I'm going to teach Tony how to do a basic engine service. So after this, he'll be able to do his own. We've got two engines. He's got a main drive engine, and he's also got a generator, which we're going to do later. This is a Beta. It's 50 horsepower. Very, very good Rolls-Royce of canal boat engines, according to me. This provides all the power for charging his batteries, heats his water, and more importantly, it drives the boat through the water.
That's the main thing.
Yeah. I always put these mats down.
Okay.
Obviously, so if I do spill oil, it goes on those and not having to mop up everywhere. Okay. So this is your hand pump, which pumps the oil out the sump.
Yeah.
Into a container. Just at the bottom of it is a 90-degree cock. It's normally red, but somebody's painted it blue.
That's nice. I'll see that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. We just open that.
Yeah.
Also on here, we have a blanking cap. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just to save oil spillages.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah. See, there's just a little drop in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well then presumably.
And then I'll let you do that.
So it's like just pump.
Yeah, that's it. And it pumps on the upward stroke.
Oh right. Okay. And how many litres of oil are you talking about?
Well, my 43's got 6 litres in, but I'm not sure how much this has got in it. You haven't read the book.
I'll have to. I was going to say I'll have to get the book out.
Yeah. But the thing is, it'll start spitting and splurting, obviously.
It won't be as smooth as this, yeah.
No, it'll
Right, I've already got plenty of muscles in my arm. Oh. That's my workout done for the day. Yeah, I can see that's now filling up.
Yeah.
That looks like it's getting to the top, yeah. So always keep empty ones.
Yes.
Handy.
Yeah.
I found that out with the toilet. To be honest, we've got one to fill the cassette toilet with flush stuff because it's electric flush, but you need to fill up the flushing water if you see what I mean.
This has got more than 6 litres in it.
Yeah, feels like it. How's my technique so far?
It's wonderful. Nice constant rhythm.
That's it. Well, I used to be a musician, you know.
Did you?
Yeah.
What do you play?
Keyboards.
Oh, right. I've got a guitar.
Ah. We could start. We could
I've
start
had
a
a guitar.
marina band.
Well, I can't play it. It's just one of those.
Ooh. Right. That's suddenly starting to. You're nearly full. Look.
Yep. Yeah, that's.
Oh, I can't feel any pressure. Not as much pressure on that now.
You can hear it squirting because that's the air coming through now.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, that's it. You can keep going like that all day and you'll probably suck a capful out.
Right.
That's a lot of oil. Right.
Filters down there, and that's come off by hand, hasn't it?
Yeah, I always attempt to get them off by hand. Very rarely do they ever come off, but it saves messing around with tools if they do unscrew, which this one has done, which is good. I always carry little carrier bags because there's still a lot of oil in the filter, and I put the filter straight in here, and it saves a lot of mess rather than sort of balancing it on somewhere, and they always tip over and you've got oil puddles everywhere. Always have an oil absorbent mat in the bilge because it's on sideways, you're always going to get oil running out, and that'll collect it, save a mess. So here we go, here's where we get messy. And we missed the mat. There's still quite a lot of oil in there. So what we're going to do is try and tip it into a container. bag. Tie it off so it's not going to make a mess anyway. Next trick is identify the new oil filter.
We've had a few filters arrive, haven't we? So
you've got a 50-50 chance of getting it right because the box actually says oil filter as opposed to fuel filter. So,
so we might, yeah.
So if you're ever in doubt, just compare the size of the two, which is right. Now then, before we screw that on, it's got a rubber seal there.
Yeah.
Which is very dry. And so what we want to do is just dab some oil on there. Yeah, just so it goes on a lot simpler. We can always utilise what's come out. Just a little dribble on. Doesn't need a lot. It's just to put a little bit on there. Okay.
Yeah.
Screw it on. All the way down. Right. And I always like to do them hand tight. As much as you can with your hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be fine.
Okay.
That's why that one came off. Some people really mechanically put them on. No need. But you do need to put a lot of force on it, because if it's too loose it will actually vibrate off.
Right.
And the first thing you'll know is you've got no oil left in your engine because it's all down.
It's all in there.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's the oil filter done. Important tool number 2, funnel. Yeah. As much as you think you're good at pouring in little holes, you're not. And there's lots of nooks and crannies, so the last thing we want to do is get oil all over the engine. Okay.
Yep. Now, what type of oil is this?
This is, it's a 1540 mineral oil.
Yeah.
And it's got an API specification of CC, which is for this engine. The API is a standard of what additives are in the oil. For the diesel engine on narrowboats, because they're not doing a lot of work and they're doing a lot of idling, they do not need a lot of additives in, because they've got nothing to protect because it's not working hard. If you put extremely high grade oils in, the additives will actually start what we call glazing the bores, and you then start having leaky oil rings, you start burning oil, and it creates all sorts of problems. So always make sure the oils are API CC for this engine. It does vary, you need to check different engine handbooks. We did have to get a different oil for the generator because that's got a different API rating to it.
Of course.
Of course, yeah. Nothing simple.
Nothing straightforward, no.
Yeah. The reason my containers have got no labels on whatsoever is because I actually obtain my oil from a company that mixes their own oil to your specification rather than carrying loads of brands on the shelf, and you have to buy a 25 litre drum minimum. So I actually bought lots of 5 litre drums and filled them all up and made it a lot easier. That's why it's got no labelling on it.
Right.
Okay. Right, because we know we nearly need, there's about 8 litres of oil in this, so I can put the first 5 litres in without checking anything.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, how do you know when you've reached the top other than looking at the dipstick, but yeah, we've taken it all out, so. Check the dipstick.
Yep.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, that's coming up. just about there. Yeah, we're about 3/4 of the way up.
Yeah.
That's enough to run. I'll bob some more oil down when we're finished. That's a bit of a pain. But you'll have 2 empty containers then.
Right, yeah.
There we go, that's it full of oil. We've now changed the oil filter, changed the oil, and we're moving on to the fuel system now. What I'm actually going to do now is remove the air filter box. The reason being is the fuel filter's right underneath it, and it just makes it so much easier to get to with the air filter off.
And before that, what do we need to do? We need to take the...
We've isolated the fuel.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So we found that because we've got 2 tanks here, haven't we?
Yeah, we're getting to understand the fuel system now. So I've shut the fuel off. Even though it won't gravity feed into the engine on this boat, it's good standard practice to turn it off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're now down here.
This is just a clamp bolt that holds this on.
Can I just say I supplied all the tools here today?
There we go. Get that out of the way. That gives us access to the, move that out of the way, to the fuel filter, which is just down there. And again, when I unscrew it, I'm going to try and do it by hand. I always put this under the filter because the fuel filters are normally upright, just to catch any fuel that's going to run off the top of it, because we don't want fuel sloshing around the engine bay. And again,
is it quite easy?
Whoever serviced this engine last time has been trained like me.
Well, you don't really want to use mechanical devices, do you really, or anything?
Not really. There is no need when you're putting these things on to use a mechanical device. A good hand pressure is enough to keep them on. Yeah. And generally, if they have been put on using hand pressure, they'll come off using hand pressure. But a lot of people like to really crank them on, and there's no real need for it. So there's a fuel filter, and we've caught all the fuel in the tray, so we're not making a mess. And again, we need to pour that off.
Stinks. Smells of diesel.
It does.
Surprisingly.
And if you ever wonder why we fit fuel filters, because people say, well, they don't ever look dirty. When you do this, yeah, you can then,
that looks
like there's a lot of rubbish in there.
There is some, some. I don't know if anybody can see that.
Because that's actually fallen off the filter element.
Yeah,
and it's going to be difficult with the camera. You probably won't see in there, but you get that in the light, and you can see an awful lot of debris in the bottom of that. So that has not been changed in a long time.
Right. Okay.
Just look for space here. Again, same looking shape, so I think we're in luck there.
And the fact it says fuel filter on the side of the box?
It does, yeah.
Yes, they've got to make this idiot proof, because there's people like me around, idiots that will be doing this sort of stuff. So,
yeah.
And do we do the same thing? Do we put a layer of, no, obviously we don't put oil on the top, do we? But do we put a piece of fuel on the top? We do, look.
Just to lubricate that rubber, because it's dry.
Yeah.
And it's going onto a dry face. So it just gives you
a bit more like a suction sort of thing, I
well, it
suppose.
does, but it lubricates it. So when you do tighten it by hand, you can get a bit more. Otherwise, it'll lock up and it'll feel tight, and it's not. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And that just basically screws back on here. That's a bit of hand pressure there.
Yep.
That's that done.
Right.
And we can open the valve up again now. Okay.
Yep.
Now then, before we do anything else, yeah, we've got a filter full of air.
Yeah.
So we've got to bleed that off.
Okay.
Okay. If you get the camera down here, this little bit here is the what they call the lift pump, which picks the fuel out of the tank, puts it through the fuel filter, and then puts it into your injection pump. Yeah. Right. And on it is a little lever, so you can manually operate it. If I could remember how it goes.
Yeah.
That manually operates that lift pump.
Right.
Normally
okay.
it's operated off the camshaft from the engine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can pump fuel manually.
Right.
And on top of the filter there is a bleed screw. Yeah. That bolt there. You see it? My finger's pointing right to it.
Yeah,
it's next to this pipe here.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've got to slacken that off. And then what we do is pump away until we get fuel coming out the top, and then that's all the air gone.
Right.
If you forget to do that, when you start your engine, it will actually run because there's still fuel in the injection pump. Yeah. But it'll start pumping air through into there, and it won't run long enough to actually get rid of that air, and it will stop. And then you've got a big problem.
Right.
Because you've got to get the air out of the injection pump, which is a pain in the neck. Again, if you just put this under there, it stops any fuel running into the bilges, and then we pump away. It does take a while. Oh, there we go.
So you just saw some fuel coming out there, yeah?
Yep.
So as soon as that comes out, you can tighten the...
Yep. And just right round the top of the filter. And there we are, done. We've already checked these, but just a reminder to Tony when he's doing his servicing, have a good check of the belts.
Yeah.
Make sure there's no wear cracks in them. Got two belts on here, driving two alternators. That's about as tight as you want them. If you over tighten the belts, you put an excess pressure on the belts, but you're also putting excess pressure on the bearings. Yeah. Alternator not too bad, but the water pump bearing will fail if you over tighten the belt. So a little bit of movement in there. If it's too slack, it will soon let you know because it will start screeching when it starts.
Right.
Yeah. These are tooth belts, so that's not bad. The other belt, it's a slightly different construction. It's what we call a multi-rib belt. It transmits more power because it's a far bigger alternator than that one. Up to 70 amps a V-belt's okay. When you start going above that, then you need your multi-rib belt.
Right.
The other thing to do, which we've done before as well, is check the water.
Of course.
Okay. Just be very careful when you've been running your engine. This is hot because it's like a car. You've got to let the pressure away before you... and that is exactly where we left it last time.
Right, so before we went out for our disastrous cruise...
The leak is fixed.
So the leak is fixed, yeah. We had a leaky thing down there.
We found an extremely good engineer to find that problem.
Which was down here, wasn't it? It's this thing.
It was, yeah.
This gizmo here.
Yeah, there's
this whole unit.
What he's got on here is what we call a heater matrix. It's just like a radiator in a car, but it's got a fan in there and it blows hot air down these pipes. One to keep his feet warm when he's cruising, the other put a bit of heat into the bedroom.
Goes in here.
It's utilising free heat.
Yeah.
Because we need to lose the heat out of the engine, so
yeah,
that's one way of doing it.
I did notice that even though we had problems with the stove and we weren't getting any heat, obviously, because we had that problem with the thermostat and the pump not kicking in, is that because we've been cruising, I did leave the engine on to make sure the batteries were topped up, is that when we came to bed, this room, which is sometimes can be a bit chilly, was actually quite warm because we'd had the engine on. So
yeah, it's doing its job.
Yeah.
They're not that efficient, but it's utilising heat that you would normally chuck away into the canal. So.
Yeah.
And as Tesco say, every little helps.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Right, what we're going to do now is start the engine up. You've got an oil gauge on here as well, and that's come up lovely. Okay, so we've got a nice oil pressure up there. Stop the engine. Yeah, as I say, it takes a little while for the oil, because it's got to fill the oil filter up before it'll get the pressure up, but it's not long.
Yeah.
If it doesn't come up after about 15-20 seconds, switch the engine off.
Okay. Right, Charlie, what we've got here? This is the...
Right, we're now onto the generator, having successfully done the main engine. Normally, we would run the engine, get the oil up to temperature and do the oil change first. Unfortunately, we seem to have a problem with the generator, and it runs for a while, then stops, and then does very little. I've come to the conclusion that the fuel filter's blocked, and I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that it is that, because otherwise I have no idea. So we're going to change the fuel filter first, with the hope we can get this engine running properly, and then we'll do the fuel, do the oil change.
Yeah, got it.
Yep.
This is not as easy to get out, is it?
No. Basically what we've got here is a chain through a very big nut. As all we do is put the filter in the chain, and when we turn the nut, it will wind the chain up and clamp the filter. Again, quite easy to use, he says.
Well, that's where it ends, unfortunately. We couldn't go any further with the service on the generator. The fuel filter that Charlie thought was the issue wasn't obviously the issue, and the generator still doesn't run properly. It runs for about 10 seconds and then stops altogether. So we've got to get some further investigation from Onan, who make the generator side of things, and Kubota, who make the engine side of things, to see what the issue may be.
And hopefully this is the last thing that we need to do before we can go out cruising.
Yeah.
But it's a very important vlog. Some people mightn't be interested in it, and it's not fun and cruising and whatever. But I think it's important, and eventually I will learn how to do these things. But Tony, under Charlie's instruction, did very well. So we hope you enjoy it and learn a bit from it.
Yeah, and if you've got a few tips from it, you know, even if it's just a case of getting some of those oil absorbent rags or whatever, you know, because they're really good, those things. Or any other tips that Charlie's passed along the way during the vlog, then at least we've done something right today. If that's the case, then please give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then please do so. And also, if you subscribe, hit the bell icon.
Ding!
I was going to say that's an improvement, Jan, but I think I might get told off.
Slough off.
Slough off, exactly, yeah. And that bell icon, if you click that, that means that YouTube will notify you next time we upload a vlog. Don't know what we're going to be doing next.
No, because this one's a bit late going out.
Yeah. You may have heard that A&B, the boat brokerages, have moved here, moved from Crick, and they've got lots of new shiny boats and some second-hand boats for sale. So we may show you around those next weekend. But of course, next weekend is the May Bank holiday, and that's when we're hoping to leave the marina for the summer and get off cruising. So if we don't see you next week, we'll see you in the future. Stay with us. If you want to become a patron and get some behind the scenes gossip, what do me and Jan get up to behind the scenes when the camera's turned off?
Ooh.
Then you can become a Patreon and get a few little perks. I get a few perks, don't I?
No.
Okay. And I think that's all we need to say, isn't it, on that?
Yeah, stop.
I'm going to stop now. See you next time. Stay safe, everybody. Happy cruising.
Bye.